Hey there, lovelies. Thanks for visiting my channel today. I'm Kisa the Veganizer, and today we are making Fried Shroom Sammy. The other day, my sister came to visit and to hang out for the weekend, and the first night that she was here, I asked her what she wanted for dinner, and she said,
I've been fasting from bread, sugar, and alcohol.
okay.
I am craving a fried chicken sandwich with crispy edges and some fire chipotle mayonnaise. Like I can taste it in my mouth.
Of course, I looked at her like she was crazy and replied, you know I'm vegan, right?
Yeah, but you asked me what I wanted.
But I thought about it for a moment, and then it came to me. Vegans have an alternative to a fried crispy chicken sandwich. I even believe we can rival any Popeyes, KFC, or Chick-fil-A.
Well, I cannot veganize a whole chicken. However, I can make you a very crispy shroom Sammy with a chipotle mayo and some homemade bread and butter pickles.
So I let Angie know that I was about to blow her mind. Turns out she had never actually had the fried mushrooms, which vegans have found to be an excellent over-the-top alternative to what fast food joints are pumping out these days. In fact, a fried shroom Sammy has so many positive benefits that I can't even fathom choosing the other, at least not anymore. So while I can't actually veganize a chicken, I can take that fast food super ubiquitous indulgence and I can veganize that. First up, we took these beautiful oyster mushrooms and cleaned them up. Whenever I find mushrooms this amazing in size, color, and quantity, I can't pass them up. But because this recipe actually moves along pretty quickly, we started with that sauce Angie wanted. We just took a store-bought Veganize. My favorite is the one made on an avocado oil base. To this, we added a couple of the chipotle chilies chopped up and a spoonful of the adobo sauce from a can of chipotles and adobo. Because we were placing our sauce in a squeeze bottle, I really wanted to blend this up smooth, so I broke out my immersion blender. This sauce does not require mad measurements. We started with about a half cup of mayo and added chilies and sauce to our liking. You do the same. Next, we prep the dredge. Back in the day, I learned from my grandmothers to place our chicken in a buttermilk bath overnight. We're gonna do just about the same thing here. We're making our own buttermilk out of a thicker plant-based milk and a squeeze of lemon juice. To this, we added what Big Mama taught me, a few dashes of hot sauce. I also recall that we used to add Worcestershire sauce, so instead of this, I'm using a quarter cup of soy sauce. And then I added a vegan's default ingredient, nutritional yeast. This stuff usually adds a cheesy flavor, or in this case, we're just bumping up the umami with it. Mix this up and set it aside. Be sure the bowl you're using can accommodate the size of your mushrooms. Because we have giant oysters, we went for a large bowl. Okay, that's the wet dredge. For the dry dredge, we started with 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. To the flour, we added 1 to 2 tablespoons of the following: garlic powder, onion powder, sazon, smoked paprika, dried oregano, salt, and a generous amount of cracked black pepper. Mix this up and set it alongside the wet dredge. Next, cut out the woody parts of the mushrooms. Most mushrooms have a stem that can be a bit chewy or tough after cooking, so you'll want to cut that out. From here, we wanted to give these shrooms an initial sear. Some folks will boil mushrooms at this point, but I wanted to seal in some of the goodness that comes from a hot pan and a quick sear. The other thing that I'm doing here is I'm flattening my mushrooms. So while I'm getting that nice charred flavor, I'm also preparing these guys for their final presentation. Something flat and sandwich ready instead of a big old hunkin' unwieldy bloom of oyster mushroom. It's just not what we're going for today. Once these are out of the dry skillet and cooled, prepare a deep saucepan or pot and fill it with a good frying oil. We used peanut oil. Get that heat turned onto the oil at about medium-high to high. To coat your seared charred mushrooms, start in the dry dredge and coat completely. Next, dip into the wet dredge and make sure the liquid has touched all parts of the flour-coated mushroom. But wait, we're going for a double dredge because we're trying to match the crispy texture on those crispy chicken sandwiches. We'll do a double dip on both dredges before dropping into the oil. We opted for a small saucepan to fry, and so we're gonna fry one mushroom at a time. You just be sure not to overcrowd your oil. If you do overcrowd your pan, you'll cool your oil and make opportunity for too much moisture to fill your oil. This will make for a soggy fry instead of a crispy one. These don't take hardly any time at all to fry up. Pull them out of the oil when the mushroom is at the top of the pan, kind of floating. The sound will calm down a bit, and look for that golden brown color. Look at that beautiful shroom footage. Before we assemble these Sammys, I just want to touch on the benefits of making such a choice as a shroom Sammy instead of that fried crispy chicken sandwich. Mushrooms have a compound in them called psilocybin. Psilocybin is the compound that's responsible for so many of the good things that mushrooms provide, including antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, anti-cancer effects. This stuff helps to fight dementia, prevents ulcers, enhances the immune functioning, and lowers cholesterol. Mushrooms are full of B vitamins, and certain mushrooms are even known to reduce symptoms associated with depression, anxiety, fear, OCD, PTSD, and ADHD. A bit of caution here. If you have an autoimmune disorder, mushrooms can actually activate the immune system, and so that may not be good for folks with that condition. By the way, can we say any of these good beneficial things about that fried crispy chicken sandwich? I think not. Let's get back to our Sammys. Time to assemble. We're gonna build this thing on top of toasted buns, layering on a smattering of that chipotle mayo and adding some homemade bread and butter pickles. Here's our final result. And I swear I could hold this beauty up against anything those other guys are charging money for. But what did Angie think? Did this do it?
You did that, girl. You did good.
Well, there we have it. Another episode where we veganized a fan favorite. And in my opinion, we created a new reigning king. Hey, thanks for joining me today. And until next time when we take another recipe and veganize that.